Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a captivating story from a small African village, a tale filled with beauty, envy, and unexpected twists. This is a story that's been passed down through generations, and it all begins with a young girl named Amara, whose life takes a dramatic turn she never saw coming. So grab a seat and let's get started. Imagine a peaceful village nestled in a quiet corner of Africa. In this close-knit community, everyone knew a family led by a man named Mazi. He had two wives, Oge and Uchi, and each wife had a daughter. Oge's daughter, Ugo, was lovely in her own way, but Uchi's daughter, Amara, stood out like a star. Her beauty was striking, often compared to the moon glowing against a midnight sky. Villagers couldn't stop talking about her, especially after the prince, a young, noble man, caught sight of her one day. He was so taken by her that he vowed to marry her when she came of age, but not everyone was thrilled about this. Oge, the first wife, felt a sharp sting of jealousy. She believed her own daughter, Ugo, should have been the one to catch the prince's eye. Oge didn't bother hiding her resentment. She treated Amara with a chilly distance, a tension everyone noticed but no one dared to mention aloud. It was one of those unspoken truths that hung heavy in the air. The prince, though, only had eyes for Amara. Whenever he visited the village, he sought her out, his gaze fixed on her alone. Amara, however, was a humble girl. She spent her days playing with friends, helping her mother Uchi with chores, and gazing at the stars, lost in her dreams. She didn't fully grasp how much the prince admired her, or how much trouble that admiration would soon bring. Because deep in Oge's heart, a scheme was taking shape, fueled by bitterness and a desire to shift the spotlight onto her own daughter. Little did Amara know, her simple, happy life was about to unravel into a web of deceit and hardship. The village, once a place of joy and togetherness, was on the brink of a story that would echo for years to come. One day, Oge's jealousy grew too strong to ignore. She decided to tarnish Amara's shining reputation, to dim the glow that surrounded her. So she came up with a clever trick. She took a treasured necklace, one that sparkled like the sunrise, and slipped it into a bundle of clothes Amara was set to wash by the river. It was a sly move, designed to cast doubt on Amara's honesty and ruin her standing in the village, especially in the prince's eyes. Amara, unaware of the storm brewing, carried the clothes to the river as usual. She hummed a cheerful tune, dipping the garments into the cool water. But as she reached into a pocket, her fingers brushed against something hard and unfamiliar. She pulled out the necklace, its gleam catching her eye. Her heart skipped a beat. Confusion clouded her face. This didn't belong to her. It had to be Oge's. Innocent and trusting, Amara decided to return it after her chores. She figured her stepmother must be worried about losing something so precious. To her, it was a straightforward act of kindness. But she had no idea she was stepping right into Oge's trap. When Amara returned home, necklace in hand, ready to explain what she'd found, Oge was waiting. Instead of gratitude, Oge erupted. "Thief! Thief!" she shouted, her voice piercing. The air. A crowd gathered, drawn by the commotion, their eyes wide with curiosity and concern. Amara, startled and afraid, tried to defend herself. "I found it in the clothes. I didn't take it," she insisted. But Oge pressed on, spinning a tale of theft, painting Amara as dishonest and sly. Just when it seemed Amara's reputation might crumble, her mother, Uchi, stepped forward. She'd watched the whole scene from her window, her sharp eyes missing nothing. With a steady voice, she spoke up. "I saw Oge hide the necklace in the laundry," she said, staring straight at her co-wife. The crowd murmured, the mood shifting. Then others chimed in, villagers who'd been at the river when Amara found the jewelry. "She's telling the truth," one said. "We saw her pull it from the clothes," another added. The evidence was undeniable. The villagers turned against Oge, their whispers growing into a wave of disapproval. Caught in her own lie, Oge tried to backtrack, but it was too late. Amara's honesty shone through, and the community rallied around her. Her good name remained intact. Yet the incident left a scar on the village. Trust between the two families frayed, and Oge's heart only grew colder. Her plan had failed, but her envy burned brighter than ever, setting the stage for something far more dangerous. Now every year, this village held a festival, a time of music, dance, and celebration under the moonlit sky. It was a chance for everyone to come together and set aside their worries. But there was one strict rule everyone knew. On the first day of the festival, no girl could go near the river. It was a tradition rooted in the wisdom of their ancestors, a taboo believed to protect the village from misfortune. Breaking it, they said, could bring bad luck, or worse. As the festival approached, the village buzzed with excitement. Homes were decorated, drums were tuned, and stories of past celebrations filled the air. But Oge felt no joy. Her mind was consumed by a thirst for revenge. She saw the festival as a chance to strike at Amara, to push her out of the picture for good. The night before the event, with the village humming in anticipation, Oge called Amara to her side. Her voice was unusually warm, a stark change from her usual frostiness. "Amara, dear," she said, "I need you to fetch water from the river tomorrow morning for the festival." Amara's eyes widened. "But stepmother, tomorrow's the first day of the festival. It's against the rules for me to go to the river," she replied, her voice trembling but firm. Oge brushed it off, her tone dripping with fake concern. "It's just an old custom. Nothing will happen. But if you refuse, I'll make your life here miserable." Amara felt trapped. She knew the taboo's weight, but Oge's threat loomed large. That night, sleep escaped her. She lay awake, her mind racing with fear. The river, once a place of comfort, now felt like a looming danger. She considered disguising herself, hoping to outsmart the river's spirit. But deep down, she knew nature couldn't be tricked so easily. As dawn broke, painting the village in golden light, Amara faced a tough choice. The taboo was sacred, a rule honored by all. Yet Oge's words echoed in her ears, sharp and menacing. She decided to go, but not as herself. She grabbed her father's oversized shirt and trousers, tucking her hair under a cap. Dressed as a boy, she hoped the river wouldn't recognize her. With her heart pounding, she set out. The familiar path felt strange and foreboding. Birds chirped and leaves rustled, but to Amara, they sounded like warnings. When she reached the river, its waters stared back, cold and unyielding. She hesitated, catching her reflection, a girl pretending to be a boy, caught between duty and dread. Taking a deep breath, she filled her pot, each second stretching endlessly. But as she turned to leave, her feet froze. They wouldn't budge, as if the ground itself held her fast. Panic surged through her. The river had seen through her disguise. She was trapped, a captive of her own decision. As the truth sank in, a desperate cry escaped her lips, echoing over the still water. The river's curse. The morning sun climbed higher, warming the village, but for Amara, stuck by the river, it offered no comfort. Despite her clever disguise, the river's ancient spirit, older than the land itself, knew her for what she was, a girl who'd broken the sacred rule. Her feet, bound by unseen forces, refused to move. Fear and hopelessness welled up as she grasped the depth of her trouble. Word of Amara's situation spread fast. Men, permitted to visit the river during the festival, found her there, unable to move. They tried to help, but it was no use. The river held her tight. A crowd gathered, whispering among themselves. "The river's caught her," they said, their voices a mix of sympathy and unease. Oge, hearing the news, hurried to the scene. To the villagers, she played the part of a worried stepmother, wringing her hands and trembling. But inside, she was gleeful. She thought her plan had worked. Amara was out of the way, her shine dulled at last. As day turned to night, Amara remained stuck. The villagers drifted back to their homes, their spirits heavy. The festival, meant to be a time of happiness, was overshadowed by her misfortune. Alone by the river, Amara felt the sting of isolation. The water's gentle flow, once soothing, now taunted her. The cold night air wrapped around her, but no relief came. Only the river's unrelenting grip. She shut her eyes, praying for a way out of this nightmare. In the village, the festival began, but the usual cheer was missing. Drums played and voices sang, Yet a sadness lingered. Amara's plight weighed on everyone's minds, casting a gloom over the celebration. The river, a source of life, had turned into her jailer, and she its helpless prisoner. The next day, the village remained subdued. The festival went on, but the joy was faint, the laughter tinged with sorrow. Meanwhile, Uchi, Amara's mother, returned from a trip to a nearby village where she'd been visiting her own mother. She'd been gone during the chaos and had no idea what had happened. When she heard about Amara, it hit her like a bolt of lightning. Her heart sank, picturing her daughter alone and trapped. Without a moment's delay, Uchi rushed to the river. Tears filled her eyes as she saw Amara, stuck and forlorn. Amara looked up, her face brightening at the sight of her mother. "My child," Uchi whispered, her voice thick with emotion. She couldn't break the curse, but she could ease her daughter's suffering. She enlisted the village carpenter, a compassionate man touched by Amara's struggle. Together, they built a small shelter right where Amara stood, a simple refuge from the sun and chilly nights. Uchi set up a routine. Each morning as the sun rose, she'd visit Amara, bringing food and warmth. She'd sit with her, talk, and offer comfort, trying to bring a bit of normalcy to this strange ordeal. The villagers watched, quietly admiring Uchi's devotion. Her love for Amara stood out, a bright light in a dark time. The story of the Yayu's girl stuck by the river and her steadfast mother became a powerful example of a bond that nothing could break. As days passed, Amara drew strength from her mother's visits. The shelter gave her physical ease, but Uchi's presence soothed her spirit. The river still held her, but she wasn't alone anymore. In her mother's gaze, she found hope, a reminder that love endures even in the toughest moments. Time moved forward, and Amara's situation stretched on. Uchi, always thoughtful, saw a new need. The village was abuzz with talk of the girl by the river, and curious folks often approached the shelter, some kind, others just nosy. To keep Amara safe and calm, they needed a private signal, a way to know it was Uchi at the door. So Uchi came up with a plan. She'd use a little song, a lullaby she'd sung to Amara as a baby, a tune only they shared. It carried memories of happier days. "My dear daughter, I am the one, your mother. I love you and won't let you suffer. Please open the door, I am your mother," she'd hum softly. "When you hear this, you'll know it's me," Uchi told Amara, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Every morning as dawn broke, Uchi approached the shelter, singing the melody. Hearing it, Amara felt a rush of relief and opened the door. They'd sit together, sharing meals and stories. Uchi brought news of the village, updates on the festival, bits of daily life, keeping Amara tied to the world she'd been forced to leave. Amara, in turn, shared her worries and hopes, finding peace in her mother's wisdom and gentle words. Their time together was short but precious, a lifeline in the midst of hardship. The villagers marveled at Uchi's commitment. Her daily trek to the river, her unshakable spirit, became a symbol of resilience. In that little shelter, mother and daughter clung to each other, their love a steady glow in the darkness. The final twist. While Amara and Uchi grew closer, Oge's heart sank deeper into spite. She watched from afar, her jealousy twisting tighter with every kind word said about Uchi. To her, each bit of praise was a jab, a reminder of her failed scheme. Her bitterness festered, and she began plotting something even darker. Oge started spying on Uchi's visits, lurking behind trees, her eyes sharp with malice. She soon noticed the song Uchi sang before knocking. A cruel idea formed. On the festival's last day, with the village distracted by closing festivities, Oge saw her chance. She slipped away, her pulse racing with a mix of nerves and thrill. Approaching the shelter, she mimicked Uchi's tune, her voice a rough copy. "My dear daughter, I am the one, your mother. I love you and won't let you suffer. Please open the door. I am your mother," she sang. Inside, Amara heard the familiar notes and felt a spark of happiness. She reached to open the door, expecting her mother's warm smile. But instead, Oge stood there, a wicked grin on her face and a knife in her hand. Before Amara could react, Oge lunged. Yet, in a shocking twist, It wasn't Amara who opened the door fully. It was Ugo, Oge's own daughter. Kind Ugo had stayed with Amara that night to keep her company, unaware of her mother's evil intent. In her blind rage, Oge didn't see the truth until the knife struck Ugo. A scream tore from Amara as Ugo fell, the weight of the moment crashing down. The noise drew the villagers, including the prince and king, who arrived to a heartbreaking scene of frantic Uchi, a wounded Ugo, and Amara still bound by the river. Oge, struck by the horror of her mistake, collapsed. Her mask fell away and she confessed everything, how an herbalist's prophecy at Amara's birth, predicting she'd be a queen, had driven her to this madness. She'd wanted Ugo to shine, but her envy led to her own child's harm. The village reeled in shock and anger. The king, wise and fair, banished Oge from the land forever. Her actions had hurt not just Amara but her own daughter. As the seventh day dawned, the river's curse lifted as foretold. Amara stepped free, released from both the water's hold and Oge's shadow. The prince, who'd watched it all, stepped forward. With the king's approval, he renewed his promise to marry Amara, honoring her courage and goodness. And so the tale of Amara, the girl stuck by the river, became a story of victory over hardship, of truth overcoming lies. It's a lesson in the perils of jealousy and the strength of love and justice. In the end, Amara's life, once darkened by Oge's schemes, glowed with hope and dignity. Thanks for joining me for this story. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Until then, take care, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.